Welcome to Rocket Ship, the home of epic React Native content. I'm Simon Graham, creator of Galaxies.dev, and in today's episode we got a lot to discuss. Last week there was no podcast episode because I was on vacation, so there are quite a few links piled up and I compiled them all for this episode. So we have to talk about the future of animations. There are some pretty cool new packages and news around existing packages that will make your React Native application better. As always, if you got any questions, drop them below this video or wherever you watch it or listen to it. And now let's dive straight into the first section and talk about the most important news. So the probably biggest thing is that Software Mansion finally released React Native Reanimated version 4. Now, this has been in the making for quite some time, actually. I think I made a video on the beta, it feels like it was last year, I don't know, it was probably in the spring. And the cool thing about Reanimated 4 is that there are CSS animations and transitions included now. You can watch a video about the most important pieces, and there's also an article going into the details of Reanimated 4. I will also definitely do another video on this, what's going on. Especially the CSS animations and transitions are so cool and easy to use. It just makes life a lot easier for basic things. For more advanced operations, you still want to rely on the traditional way of using shared values or worklets in your application, but for easy things like spinners or changing an icon or just basic stuff, that is perfect. It just feels good and it is so easy. And it's also super easy for people coming from the web to adopt this in the future. Now, this is a big part of version 4. On top of that, they made some improvements behind the scenes about the package in general, and they also put the worklets package into its own package. So there is now, or actually for quite some time already, a React Native worklets package. If you don't know about worklets, they call it the React Native multi-threading library. React Native Worklets is a library that allows you to run JavaScript code in parallel on multiple threads and runtimes. So in the past, you had this included in Reanimated to run some specific animations on the native thread to get better performance. Now, by putting this into its own package, they are opening this mechanism, which is also used by many other packages by now, to also do other things than just animations, because putting things on another thread in your application can make absolute sense, especially if we talk about AI or some computations behind the scenes. That is perfect. So it's really cool to see this React Native Worklets library, and maybe we can do a deep dive or at least checking it out in a future episode as well. There are not too many breaking changes. There's one about the spring animation which has changed, but beyond that, there's not too much you have to worry about besides this dependency, which is now a different core dependency of Reanimated 4 to worklets. So give it a try, CSS animations and transitions. I had a video about this in the past, which you can already check out, but I will also come up with something new very, very soon. On top of that, there's some cool news around precompiled React Native packages for iOS. I think we talked about this before when they released React Native 0.80, because in that release there was already a little snippet about experimental support for React Native iOS dependencies are now pre-built. That simply means that if you make a native build of your React Native application, for example, using Expo pre-build, then it is a lot faster. And this is now coming in 0.81, and it will also soon include Expo and more things from Expo. So the benefits are that your builds might actually be up to 10 times faster. Yeah, 10 times. That is really a lot. And I think this is pretty cool because the build time of my native application, when I do a pre-build, when I have to do a new clean pre-build, it is quite long. And I have really small projects, and people and companies with bigger projects, that can take really long. So improving that build time is a great step for the future. One note about this, as it's mentioned in the post, this work is necessary to prepare for the future deprecation of Cocoa Pods and migration to Swift Package Manager. I wasn't completely aware about this. I heard about this before. I always loved Cocoa Pods in the past, but apparently it's not the greatest thing on earth anymore. So there's a shift happened to Swift Package Manager in the near future. So React Native will be precompiled already. You can use that. It's going to be a lot faster, and the Expo SDK will be precompiled as well in the near future. This is included, as I said, in React Native 0.81. It's currently at the release candidate stage. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But it is not yet with Expo. So this is always this Expo version, React Native version stuff going on. It will come with Expo SDK 54, which is most likely dropping in late August or early September, which is not too far off. It's like a month or 2 months from now. So keep an eye on it. Pretty cool things. Faster build times coming to your React Native apps very soon, at least for iOS. For Android, I think that optimization already happened in the past. More news. Full native tab support coming to Expo Router for iOS and Android. Evan Bacon recently shared a little example of what's going on, and I think this comes from Software Mention updating the React Native screens package. And because Expo Router is under the hood simply using these packages, we benefit from that change as well. So maybe you know this, if you use the tabs, for example, from Expo Router, those are actually not the native tabs. It's a JavaScript implementation. And you can see the difference if you use the package from CallStack, what's it called? It's like native bottom tabs from Oscar. I've hinted to that a couple of times before, because that actually implements the real native functionality. And you can see this because screens switch in a different way. They fade out and fade in. There's a more gentle transition. And exactly that stuff is now coming to Expo Router because React Native screens is updated as well, and therefore now implements the native tab functionality in the future. This is pretty cool. I was a big fan of that library. I don't know if the library will go away, or if this will be just merged into React Native screens. Anyway, great for all of us as we get even closer to native performance with our applications. Then, new package, actually not a new package. I had a new package that I wanted to share. It was like about a TipTap editor, but that tweet was pulled back because the company the developer was working for claimed that he can't make that public and he had to remove it again. I'm so sorry for that. I think I even included it in my newsletter, so that library is actually not there anymore. But there's a cool new change about the React Native keyboard controller. I want to highlight that package more in the future, and I will also do a video on this very soon, because it's like the best way to handle keyboard stuff in your application right now. And with the new release, you can now have like a custom UI above the keyboard. This is pretty cool because in the past, I think I wanted to do this a couple of times and it wasn't that easy. But now with that release, you can like put anything you want above the keyboard, like numbers or different button, a sign, anything helpful. You know, this area where usually on iOS, or I think also on Android, it recommends words or things you can place in. So pretty cool. Keep an eye on keyboard controller. Use it if you haven't used it before. Then let's talk about games. I saw multiple things about building games lately. And we all know you can build games with React Native. We've seen the Neon City game. We had Void Pets with Ben Awad. We talked about this on the podcast in the past. It was one of the most popular episodes, I think. And now there's another post from Daniel, who's doing great YouTube videos as well on the Expo blog about how to build a 2D game style with physics. Pretty cool because it's not just a rough overview about what's going on, but actually a real deep dive into creating a world in JS with these libraries and how to handle changes to the world, how you add physics to that world. And not just the implementation, but some pretty cool drawings in how these things actually come together. So for everyone who's interested in building a game, you should check out that post on the Expo blog. And also, a couple of weeks ago, Ailton Vieira, I think I definitely pronounced that in the wrong way, mentioned on X that he has a game called Blocks. Blocks is back. It's a block-breaking puzzle game rebuilt from scratch with Expo. Pretty cool. I signed up for the test flight beta, And it is actually a really addictive game. You can give it a try. I think this is pretty cool because it once again shows what's possible with React Native. It includes animations and some gentle transitions. Really cool. Drag and drop isn't perfect yet. I think I had some problems like with the offset of my drag and drop, but that's something we've all seen with React Native, something that probably can be fixed with like -100 at some point. But anyway, a cool game and a cool post about building games. And again, I'm always inspired by these posts, and maybe so are you. If you want more code examples for common things, Katie Kremen, working for Expo, has some pretty cool new examples. Some weeks ago, actually almost a month ago, she shared an example for using AWS S3 bucket upload with Expo Router and EAS hosting. So this is a very common thing. You want to upload something from your Expo app to AWS, and she's implemented it with Expo Router and I guess API routes most likely, because it's not too hard. You create a signed upload URL, and then you put that file into your bucket using the AWS client. Pretty cool, straightforward implementation. And just recently, she also shared an example for using GraphQL server and client with automatic type generation. I didn't know GraphQL was still a thing, but I don't know. Are you still using it? I heard many people saying that, yeah, it was a cool idea while it lasted, but right now we got TRPC and we got other stuff. So GraphQL is like, we don't really need it anymore. Let me know if this is still a thing. I always wanted to do a video on this, but I feel like it's somewhat like out of fashion. But anyway, another great example for what's possible with Expo and React Native and how you can easily implement it. And Beto also shared recently that it's now possible to use the new glass effects from Apple in buttons with the Expo UI package. So we talked about the Expo UI package in the past. It's this package that aims to bring the native elements from both Android and iOS more easily to React Native. So you got a set of primitives that you can use, not just like a scroll view and a text and a button, but actually these really native elements through the Expo UI package, which is still, I guess, in alpha stage. It's very early, but it's cool to see what's possible with this package and what really the idea of that Expo UI package is, that it brings these things to us a lot easier. It simply just makes an Expo module, includes that stuff and export it. It's not too hard, but it's cool that they're putting all of this into one package. I hope they will maintain it and build it out in the future. Many news. I told you this up front. If you're gone for 1 week or 10 days and you check back and you see like so many new things pop up, it's incredible, but it's also a lot. So a couple more things. First, there's a new native iOS mesh gradient. This is a cool library. It's built with SwiftUI and Expo. I need to give it a star because you recently complained I'm showing you packages I'm not starring, so I will give this a star. It's beautiful iOS animated mesh gradients made with Expo. I like small libraries like this. They have a very specific use case, and if you're looking for something like this, there's now a library, so you don't have to build your own Expo module. The animation on X, the preview looks pretty wild, and I think I will actually use this in one of my upcoming videos because the gradient, it just looks great. It looks amazing. I need to give this a heart as well. Okay, so go check that out. And of course, all the links will be in the show notes. Then something I have to think about, this is still a podcast and you're maybe listening to this. But I recently saw an example that a company it's called, I think, Fuse, shipped a new onboarding. You can check this out if you watch the video version. The onboarding is built with React Native, Reanimated, Skia, and some custom haptic patterns built with Expo modules. It is pretty impressive because two things. First, this onboarding looks like any onboarding. Okay, that's a bad way to start something that's super cool. But it looks like these onboarding screens you've seen maybe in some other fintech applications or I don't know where you just walk through something and it just feels right. You're walking through it, the background changes, the colors are changing, elements fly in, and it just feels like this should be the way how I sign up and get like through the onboarding of an application. And they absolutely nailed it. And the second thing is that you can build this with React Native. You have the possibility to do this. It is probably not easy. So if I wanted to implement the same stuff, it will probably take me some weeks because they also had some advisory and companies helping them build this. But the fact that it is possible is super cool to know, because you don't have to approach a project and think, I will never be able. This is just not possible with React Native. I will settle for an intro slide or do 3 slides and then call it a day. No, you don't have to. There's Reanimated, there's Skia. You can have an animated gradient mesh background. You can do Expo modules and expose native functionality and get all these things into your application just like you were a Swift or an Android developer. It doesn't matter, and you're not limited. So this is what I found really cool about this. You can check it out if you're watching the video again, or check out the links below this. Pretty cool onboarding, and I'm kind of jealous that I don't have that great onboarding for my own applications. Now, a while ago, Expo hired 2 people. I told you about this. Great people, great additions. And a couple of weeks, I saw that Krystof, I think it's called Krystof, right? Woldrich, joined Expo as well. You might have seen his face or his name because he previously worked at Sentry and maintained the React Native SDK there. Now he's working on DevTools at Expo, and he is, again, a brilliant mind. So this is so cool to see that Expo is expanding, that they're finally hiring more and more people, because they've been a pretty small team, and it feels like lately they're trying to expand a bit more. I like that move. I like that they bring in really talented people, because that means we will get better, cooler new stuff faster every year. That just makes so much fun. So thank you, Expo, and all the best for Krystof. Finally, just a note that that React Native is on version 0.81 RC2. That means second release candidate. We're getting closer to a final version. But again, pinging back to what I said in the beginning, if you like to stick to Expo versions, you're gonna have to wait for Expo SDK 54, which will drop in August or September, and then we're gonna cover or you're gonna benefit from all the new things of Expo, of React Native. Come on, it is so hard to my React Native dependency is this and my Expo is this. I hope one day it's gonna get easier. Anyway, last thing is a little speculation or a little tweet into the future made by Mark Rosavi, who said, I'm going to fully rewrite Nitro Image. It's gonna be the most powerful image library. I like tweets like this because Mark is not just making a little claim here. If Mark says it's gonna be the most powerful image library, you know it's gonna be the most powerful image library. And I'm absolutely looking forward to this. I don't know how, because I assume he's already using Nitro under the hood. So I don't know how he's going to make it any better. But again, if Mark says so, it's gonna be epic. And I'm looking forward to, once again, another great package coming to React Native. Alright, that was a lot of news and probably almost like 95% of this episode. I don't want to put too much else in here. I've been on vacation before, so there's not really any tech I'm testing, no tiny wins besides having a vacation, which was great. The only thing I want to talk about is something that's trending in technology, at least in my circles, and that is currently Claude Code. So you know that I'm a big fan of Cursor. I used Cursor for quite long, I think a year at least at this point. And it's great. I like the integration. I like how it's doing things. But more and more I see people talking about Claude Code and how they're switching to it. I haven't gotten very far. I only made the installation command, which they have on their homepage. But honestly, I'm not exactly sure how this fits into how I work. It looks like this works with VS Code or JetBrains, but I don't want to go back to VS Code at this point, as I'm so used to Cursor right now. Claude Code works in your terminal, so I also, I can work with the terminal, but I don't know, I guess I have to use it in my folder and then tell it to do some things. People said that the results from Claude Code is a lot better than when they just use Cursor or something else, which I definitely believe, but I don't know if there are any gains to made I don't know if this makes my life better because, it's hard. I've been out from the whole AI thing for a couple of months now. So I was very deep into all the AI and the latest models and trying this and trying that. I have opted out of that to stay sane, but I don't know if this is another of these, this is the biggest thing right now, or if it will just fade out and Cursor will get the same stuff. I want to try this at some point and play around with it. I just haven't gotten to it. So just my recommendation, if you want to try something out this week, if you want to play with some technology, try Claude Code. I think you can try it for free, but it looks like most people are actually paying for like the max subscription, which is $200 per month. I don't know. They must get really a lot out of this. I'm just not enough coding right now during the summer holiday time here in Germany to really get that much value out of it. I'm already paying for Cursor, I think. So yeah, give it a try and let me know. You can also ping me on X or leave a comment on YouTube if you're watching. I would love to know if you've tried Claude Code. I haven't, but I'm always open to use a new tool and get super excited about this. Beyond that, there will probably be another break after this episode because we're once again on vacation. We're using the summer break of my daughter's school for a lot of traveling and vacations. But we will soon be back to the regular cadence of weekly episodes. And I've also planned a special episode with a guest. So for the last, 10 episodes, I've been the solo host here and telling you about what's going on. But there will once again be interviews later this year. And very soon I will bring on a face you've seen with React Native all the time and that you definitely loved before. That conversation that I had with him before was epic, and I think the next one is going to be nothing worse of that. We have some really epic topics to cover and I'm highly looking forward to that. Anyway, if you're also on summer break, don't mind all these new things. I hope I could update you quickly on what's going on in the React Native world. If you take 2 or 4 or 6 weeks off, stay chilled, take that time to relax. You can always come back and update 5 versions of React Native once you're back at work. So chill, take the summer time. If you're in the southern hemisphere, you actually have winter, which is weird, but I hope you enjoy your winter time. And I will be soon back with the latest packages from React Native. Stay warm or stay cool and happy coding. Simon. Thanks for joining today's episode. My goal is to share interesting stories and insights into the world of React Native development. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. And on Spotify and Apple, you can leave up to a 5-star review. Because podcasts, and especially niche podcasts like this, are hard to find, subscribing and leaving a review does help me a lot. On top of that, check out my React Native courses on galaxies.dev that cover a variety of topics from getting started to building and publishing your mobile app. Finally, you can share today's episode with a friend or colleague who would enjoy the topic of the show. If you have any questions or ideas for future episodes, find me on X or leave a comment on YouTube. And last but not least, thank you for listening and happy coding. Simon.